Hey, this is Steve Zook. Welcome back to Pokesoo Channel and the Guitar Ladder System. Hey, this is a Garcia made in Japan. And but actually, what I want to talk about, today is inventing a product and actually getting it on the market. This is kind of a big subject, but I used to do seminars about this. This is something I invented. Now, this is part of the prototype. I invented the speed pick and the Zookies as marketed by Dunlap. You can see the angle there. It gives you a more parallel picking angle. Ray Flack still uses the little M10 speed pick. He called it a bucket seat for your fingers, and he called it the perfect guitar pick. I mean, it's really the only pick that's been designed that has a different angle. It's ergonomically designed, so even though the pick comes across the string, the part that meets the pick, the strings, is actually more parallel. It really works. I actually have a letter on my wall. In fact, I'm going to grab it right now. I have a letter on my wall from Les Paul that's saying that he tried the product and really liked it. This really means a lot to me. I mean, Les Paul was pretty heavy. He invented multi-track tape recording. He invented, many different effects units. I mean, he invented that whole process where you can put a bass on one track, a drum on one track, a vocal on another track. It's pretty amazing, but I'm really proud of this letter. It took me 7 years to get the speed pick to market, and then Dunlap came out with the Zookies, which is a thumb pick with the same design. So I'm really proud, and it was 7 years to get it there. But I want to talk a little bit about the process of inventing something and getting it to market. This is going to be a series that will, be more than one tape. I call the first step. I mean, the first step in inventing something and getting it on the market is to really be honest, because you might have something viable and that's really meaningful, and you might have something that's not, but you're so in love with the idea that you can't see the forest through the trees. So, maybe if you have any really, really trusted friends that aren't going to rip off the idea, you can talk to them, but just be a little hard on yourself. Like, really ask yourself if it's really a good idea or it's just kind of silly, I've seen some really silly ideas, but you just need to be honest with yourself about it. But I call the first step really is commitment and the clarity stage. If you have an idea that you've invented, like I invented the speed pick a long time ago when I was very young. I had no money to put into it or anything. But the first step I like to call is the clarity stage, and just get clear about if you really have something viable, if you really have something that's really a great idea, or it's just something that you're so excited about because you think it's a great idea. So you have to be really honest with yourself. But if you really think you have something, commit to the idea, and just get really, really clear about the fact that you're going to follow through on it, no matter what it takes. When I first invented the speed pick, I had to go find investors, and you have to listen to your hunches, because sometimes you'll get a hunch to do something or go somewhere, and you might meet somebody, so you have to kind of listen to those hunches. But I'm going to kind of fast forward a little bit. But obviously, when you invent a product, you have to get it manufactured, and all. If you can get a patent on it, that's good. If you can't, sometimes a great name, you can get the name trademark. That can be helpful. Some people don't believe a patent's worth, the paper it's printed on. I mean, it is, and they've changed some of the laws. I think that it's easier to seek an injunction now. But one of the most important things, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, one of the most important things, and this can be viable for anybody that has a business, is learning to write press releases. If you can learn to write press releases, you can get thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of free publicity by just sending these press releases, not to consumer magazines, although you could do that as well, but sending them to magazines. Like what I did is I sent them to the music trades, which goes mostly to music stores, and get write-ups and exposure. I also called some local newspapers and made appointments to go down and talk to them about it, and I got write-ups in local newspapers, which was really helpful. So anybody can spend money on advertising, but you really have to focus and write a great press release. Just research how to write a press release. Go on Google, look at some samples of press releases. I probably got over $100,000 of value and free advertising and marketing from doing press releases. So it's a really, really viable thing. So you want to research press releases. So I'm going to talk more about this later, but for right now, I'm just going to keep this short so it uploads really quick. And like I said, first step is the clarity stage. You know, make sure you didn't invent something because of family Olympics and because maybe your dad did the same thing or your brother did something. You know, make sure that you really have something, you know, viable and real, and it's a beneficial product. It's not just something that you're on. Because I've seen some really silly ideas like guitar picks with hooks on them. That actually my son knows somebody that had that idea, and the guy spent a lot of money on it, and it's just kind of a silly idea, but he was probably in love with it. So you know, it would have been great if he could have went somewhere with it, but you know, you really need to make sure that you have a viable idea, and also look at what it's going to take to develop it. But you know, money tends to gravitate towards great ideas, but it is work, and you gotta be willing to network with people, and I mean, I'll talk to anybody out and about on the streets. I met one of my first investors at a record store many years ago. But like I said, if you have any kind of a business, I know I'm jumping ahead here to marketing, but if you have an exposure and positioning, but if you have any kind of a business, learn to write press releases. It's huge, and that can help balance out issues you might have with your company if you went through some bad products or whatever. But you know, writing press releases and getting exposure and starting to call, you know, newspapers and magazines, and you know, it can be a little tricky. If you have the money, hire a publicist. I can be helpful to some people out there if I am available on a limited basis to help people with publicity, which can be huge. So if you need somebody to help you with publicity, maybe we can work together. I obviously have a fee involved. I can't work for free or for percentages or things like that. But anyway, publicity is huge. But like I said, I used to have a thing called ACT, which is Accelerated Closing Techniques. The first person you have to close and sell on your idea is yourself. And you have to sell yourself on completing this idea, going through all the steps, doing whatever it takes, following through, even if it takes years. Most things don't happen overnight. It took me 7 years to get the speed pick going. But anyway, I just want to start this series with a couple ideas like that. Like I said, start with the clarity stage. Be honest as hell with yourself. If you have something, it might be great, it might suck, you know. You got to be really, really honest with yourself. And I've got some tips also on how to get a patent when maybe your patent attorney says you won't be able to get one. There's a lot of information here, but I just want to keep this short for now. But if you haven't tried the speed pick with the Zookies, check them out. You may have to order them off eBay, but you can see the angle here. I use them for some things, and for some things I use a regular flat pick, just like, you know, I would use one guitar for some things and another guitar for something else. It's not like you have to be all in on one product. But yeah, the speed pick and the Zookies are really viable products. A lot of people are using the Zookies, which is the thumb pick with the same design. So, and these are marketed by Dunlap, and you can always just go to eBay and check them out. All right, folks, so take care, and I'll catch you in the next video. All right, I love a flame back on this. Isn't that great?